Welcome back, brothers, to the 801st Legion podcast, a Star Wars Legion podcast. We know we've been gone for a little bit, but we want to give you some big updates about 2021, where things are going, and how things have been. So without further ado, for the first time this year, punch it, Kyle.
Hello there.
You must unlearn
Dark
what you
side of
have
the
learned.
Force is a pathway to many abilities.
Red, green, or red, green, red.
I know.
That shall do!
Sorry about the mess.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
General Kenobi.
Let's rearrange some architectures.
Is it possible to learn this power?
I thank you for your hospitality.
Twice the pride, double the fall.
Impressive.
I'll show you the dark side.
Well. You decided you had some time to record a podcast.
So it looks like you've decided to record a podcast.
So, for those of you at home who are curious, yes, we've been extremely busy. Working at a hobby shop during Christmas season turns out is insane. And if you're not a part of our Discord, we did let everyone know there that, hey, it's been busy. We've had some personal tragedies in our personal lives, so we had some stuff to take care of. It's been a month or so.
Yeah, and in the end,
it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, really, though. I mean, it was just, the year was what it was. Let's just put it that way. We're back. We're happy to be here.
Oh, dude, I am actually so happy to be here. This is like one of my favorite parts of the week. I love content creation, and what's better for content creators than to be able to be the laziest MFs on the planet? I'm just going to sit myself in front of a microphone and talk. And people listen. That's so weird.
Who would have thought?
Look at us.
Look at us.
Who would have thought? Well, Matthew, it has been a month or so, as they say. Or so, more likely. It's more than a month. And there's been a couple things that's happened in the Legion world. So, folks at home want to know, since our last recording, we had some big heavy hitters come out.
We had
Maul.
Maul, Anakin.
Yeah, Robin Sparkles.
Let's go
to the
Maul. Right. They came out. Points changes happened.
Which
changes made a lot of units feel completely like brand new units.
Yeah.
And kind of gave us new commanders with the field commander.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the most impactful changes in our local meta I've seen so far.
It's been super big, and I mean, we're gonna try and cover at least the big footnotes for the whole thing, because moving out from here on through 2021, we are promising consistent content.
Yeah,
things are getting a lot easier. We've been through 2020. Hopefully, 2021 is a little bit better, but we are committing to better content. So today we're just gonna hit the footnotes of what's going on and make those commitments to you guys.
Yeah, and like Matt said, consistency is what we're aiming for. We're going to go back to weekly episodes for you guys. And if there's ever a week where we can't, we're going to make sure we're clear on the Discord of like exactly the reason why we can't, so you have a heads up. So you can expect and rely on us to be here every week for you guys. Also, there's the potential of more content outside of the podcast coming. So that's exciting. I hope you all look forward to that because Matthew's been cooking up some stuff, and I'm very excited.
Things are in the works. Let's just say it was a very productive season of getting ready.
Yeah.
If you want to call that for the holiday season. So,
your boys in the 801st are making moves.
It's good. Like, no promises on when they'll come out, but we're making moves towards different content creation types. So if you like enjoying battles, that's a thing. If you like enjoying reviews, products, we're going to do some different things. We're going to brainstorm so we can do, but stay tuned.
Yeah.
New stuff coming.
Definitely. And like you said, we'll let you know when we have a concrete idea, or we have an idea, but concrete notion of what and when.
Exactly.
So. But other than that, the point changes. Let's go over a few of the games we've had recently. Let's start at the top of the ticket, where I'm sure a lot of people want to know what we think, and that's what we think of Maul and Anakin. So let's start with our horny boy, our Seppi, our lovely Darth Maul. Now that you've had some time with him, what do you think of Darth Maul?
I think he is a fantastic unit. We both like after we looked at the articles and read everything and have seen him play it a little bit, well, not even played a little bit, but just our guesses, we both landed on that he would be pretty good, right? Like he'd be very good. And I think what we're seeing is exactly that he is very solid. Now, there are some moments where it is still super annoying that he doesn't have keywords, but instead has that third action. Like there are times where I would rather move, attack, but I also want to move, attack, and force choke or force push, but I need to recover for some reason. But the way he plays with objectives and gives the Separatists so much of like a Swiss Army knife for recover the supplies, for hostage exchange, all these other super interactive things. I think he's very good. Yeah. Is he easy to use? Not at all.
Nope.
No, not really. I mean, if you want to use him just like any other Jedi as like a killing machine, sure, go for it. But for his top tier play, he requires a lot of thought. You got to get those actions used properly.
If he breathes, he requires thought.
He's a thought, but he's solid. I really enjoy him. Yeah. I guess you on the other side have played against him more, even though I know you wanted to play him a lot. What have you seen from like your side of the table with Maul?
From my side of the table, I definitely think Maul has been not exactly functionally what I thought, but impactful like I thought. For example, a big thing I was going into his release was like, oh yeah, like it's gonna be pretty hard to play him with like if I'm playing Kenobi, right? Like his card is very much a counter to Kenobi. What I've found though is that if I stick Anakin on him instead, because I love running those two together, then it's not an issue, because Anakin will wreck Maul in the attacks. Personally, hot take, stat wise, data shows that's accurate though. So anyways, what I'm saying though is that I'm not as worried as a Republic player anymore, because I have other tools, especially if Maul does come up on me, and we're playing on like in deployment like danger close. My phase 2 troopers or my ARC troopers are already probably going to be shooting at him as soon as he exposes himself. So it is interesting where he needs a damage to get that third action, and so he kind of wants it. So he kind of baits you a little bit. And I've seen this, especially with a certain player in our community, I've seen it a lot, where he'll bait you with Maul to just get one damage on just so he starts getting his actions. But the problem is it's like choking on your aspirations, because you get that one damage, but also guess what? You rolled all blanks, so you got all 6 damage.
I've experienced that. That was actually my first experience with Maul.
I was actually talking about you.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, because I totally did that with Maul. The player I was going against was using a tank, and they had Anakin. And I saw the way they were setting up, but I knew they wanted to kill Maul, so I infiltrated with him. And I thought, oh, this will be fine. I forgot the Saber tanks can move at speed 2, so he was able to get shots on Maul, like turn 1. And red dice be damned. When you fail red dice saves, feels bad.
Feels
really bad. So Maul ended up not playing super aggressive and ended up trying to just hide in buildings the whole time.
Dang.
And having to make sacrifices.
You hate to waste 200 points like that.
Right. Yeah, it's a weird moment. Yeah.
Well, Anakin. Let's move on to Anakin then.
Yeah, I guess you played way more Anakin than I have.
Yes,
so
I've played with Anakin almost every week. Well, no, every game I've played since he's come out has been with Anakin.
It's weird because I used to think that you were like the Kenobi guy. I remember you were like, dude, I gotta figure Kenobi out. I gotta figure him out.
Well, he's just a placeholder for Anakin. We talked
Apparently
about this.
He was. So
if Anakin was in the start of this game, Obi-Wan, I would agree with everyone. Kenobi's trash. No, I love Kenobi.
Yeah. Hopefully prequel memes isn't listening, because they'd freak out right now. How dare you? You were the chosen one.
They'd pull the Twisted Tea can out on me.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I love Anakin. My 2 favorite combo. Here's the thing. People in our local meta, and if you've been a listener for a long time, you know this, that I am in love with running borderline jank lists with like the super heavies for the Republic. And by that I mean I love running the dual saber list with Kenobi and with the tank. but now I can, instead of the tank, I can have Anakin. Or you can get real spicy like I've done a couple times and run the triple saber list, which is Anakin, Obi-Wan, and the saber tank.
Just it doesn't seem like it should work. It really
8
doesn't.
activations. I make it happen. Your boy pulls moves, dude.
What kills me is you still had more activations than I had when I played Anakin Kenobi.
Don't get me wrong. I skipped on aggressive tactics. That's 15 points right there because, well, I don't care about my trooper units. My 3 phase 1 clones aren't going to benefit from 1 surge token.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even going to give them orders anyways. It's always going to be my tank, Anakin or Obi-Wan, especially with Anakin's command cards. So aggressive tactics was no longer useful to me. And then the Force upgrades, I had to go on the little cheaper side. And then with the tank, instead of like decking it out fully, I just had to do the high energy shells for 8 points, right?
Yeah, I think it's around there, yeah.
So that got me just enough to where like I could fit all those in a list, and it's fun. I definitely get caught. Like a couple games I tried that, I got caught with my pants down for sure. But it's still fun. But anyways, Anakin in general though, I really like him. One of my favorite lists I'm enjoying a lot lately is him with Padme. And Alex Davey talked about that before Anakin came out, that he really enjoyed that combo, and I kind of didn't really understand it the first game I tried them, but I was like, no, I'm going to stick with it. But the constant bouncing back of standby sharing and surge tokens on mobile units, just really good. Because if you harken back to Phase 2 castling, those units aren't moving, right? They're not doing anything that helps. But all of a sudden you use aggressive negotiations and Anakin gets to move for free because he gets an order, and then he starts with the 2 surge tokens because he's played his robot. The combos are insane is what I'm saying. There's just so many options that you could do.
Well, and what I love that I think you've done this, and I think it was you that I saw do this, is the Kenobi combo with standby.
Yeah.
Where you play his 1 pip just so you get your standby off, so you can respond and intercept other Jedi. Padme, you may not be getting that to turn 1, but you're always able to feed Anakin standbys.
Yep.
Which I'm finding to be massively more important in a lot of cases.
Definitely. And I think Anakin definitely, along with what you're saying, I think Anakin just requires more finesse in general. He's not as straightforward as Obi-Wan, where it's like, yeah, I want to dodge, and then with force reflexes, and I want to do this. He like Anakin has a lot more options. This is something that when I told everybody this that night we were playing, everyone was so confused. But when they found out I had Overwatch on Anakin, everyone was just like, why? Why are you doing Overwatch on Anakin? Because he's going to use Padme's standby, and now anything at range 3, if they're going to shoot at Anakin when he's exposed, now he's getting behind cover real fast.
Real fast. And it feels bad to have to waste an action to shoot him that doesn't have an aim token or can't spend aims. I mean, you get 12 actions max for your game. That feels weird. It feels weird to have to take a dodge or something after that.
Yep. And especially like if you're considering that like he's gonna move into melee, or even if he just moves closer, then when he activates he could force pull someone and then he's fine, right? There's just so many tricks to Anakin that I wish people would give more credit to and try. But I also kind of like in a weird way appreciate that not a lot of people are. It's this weird thing where like I like the idea of a high tier play, like somebody you have to actually. Maybe not even high tier in Anakin's case, but like risky, right? Let's just
like a Cad Bane kind of thing.
Like Cad Bane. Like I think Anakin definitely requires more thought and more skill to pull off effectively. But even if you're not like a super high skill player, I'm certainly not the best, right? But I like taking the risks, hence my triple saber list. So
hey, it's working, especially because like we'll get to this later. But I feel like your list, I hate to say it's meta adjacent, but I feel like it really is, because you're not playing like a counter meta, but it's like almost its own thing, and it works. Question for you though, because this is something. So I've only played Anakin the once, but I played against him multiple times. Mm-hmm. I found juggling his command cards to be very interesting. Now, not game changing, because when my opponent went to play his flaw card, he had no suppression, so it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't going to go with him anyways. But there were times where I was like, oh, I need Master of the Force. But I need to play this other card more than I need Master of the Force. Or I would like Relentless, but I need to get the Exemplar reliable too. Like, how did you find that balance of command cards to work for you?
So the only time I've really had a conflict of what command cards to play is when I really wanted. There's one game that comes to mind in particular where I wanted to pop Hello There for Kenobi, but I also wanted This Is Where the Fun Begins, because they were both in prime positions to attack. But the problem was Anakin was way weaker at this point in the game than Kenobi was. I took the risk and did Hello There, and so that means that Anakin, for whatever reason I wasn't paying attention, was now like just completely exposed because I didn't give him orders and I just made the bad call. I misplayed, right? So there's been, like, what I'm saying though is that there's been a couple situations where indeed, like, it's been a weird juggle to like decide, okay, when do I play Anakin's cards? When do I play Obi-Wan's cards or whoever, right? Or when do I play my generics, right? Because Anakin, if you're going to get your full value, you do need all of his command cards, just plain and simple. You may not have a list that requires all of them played at the beginning, but you need to have them all at your disposal. And maybe that's where I differentiate on opinions than other people. Because, yeah, sure, in every game you won't need to use all of his command cards. But I think you at least need access to them because he needs the versatility, right? And I guess that's all a roundabout way of saying, like, there can be times where you can struggle juggling his command cards. But I think it's just one of those things that you have to practice with. You're going to have to play him. Don't show up to a tournament with Anakin if you've never played him before, right? Like, you need practice with Anakin. So he's not Rex. He's not this plug and play unit.
Yeah.
So
He definitely has to serve a purpose.
yeah, and that purpose is going to be different. Also, here's another thing, not command card related, but deployments. If you get screwed over on deployments and objectives, Anakin is not gonna help you.
Oh man, well it feels bad having to spend his turns doing a lot of movement.
Yeah.
Which I can get for setting up for later game, but like if you play his Exemplar card and you only have those reliable 2 tokens, I guess those are fine, but yeah, that's what I'm finding. Getting caught with your pants down to sit with him is very bad.
Definitely. But overall, like, I don't find, now that, especially that I've played with him multiple times, I don't find myself confused as to when I need to play his card. It's more about, like, I have 2 really good options, and I just need to decide if I can wait for those cards, if that makes sense. Like, I don't ever find myself in a position now where it's like, oh, crap, well, I need to play this card so Anakin lives. I've learned my lesson, right? We've talked about that. And that actually reminds me of another thing with Anakin. His flaw card sucks. It like is so hard to like work around.
Like if you get hit with a flaw card.
Yeah, exactly.
Has that happened too much?
It happened to me once, and I will never let it happen again. It's so much so that this last game I played was the game after the flaw card was used on me. So like 2 weeks ago, someone used the flaw card on me. Last week, so yesterday, I learned from that mistake, and I was like, I don't care. I have 3 suppression on me. Anakin has to recover this turn because I don't have Padme's card anymore that can remove that suppression. So I need to make sure that I can recover. So what did I do? I moved up, pushed someone to me, choke the Z6 off of their unit.
And it's been to recover action.
Yep. So, and I actually had to look that up because I wasn't sure if I can work that out. For some reason, I was like, I don't think I can recover as a second action. Turns out you can. So that's nice. But if anyone finds anything contrary, definitely let your boy know.
Yeah, because I feel like most of the time with recover, unless you have HQs, you're like HQ uplinks, you're only doing it because you were gonna panic off the table without it. So you're like, spend my 1 action recover.
And this thing, like, if I remember correctly, I had 2 suppression tokens, so 1 below his courage value, so he still got both actions. So yeah. Anyways, Anakin, I love him. Anakin be panicking, but if he's not panicking,
he's happy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's the hero of the Clone Wars, as they say.
That card, I feel like that card gets played so much out of all of his. Like,
yeah.
Like this past game, I would have lost if I hadn't played that turn 1. Get reliable.
Reliable too.
Yeah, I tell you, like, I blanked out on 5 hits, with the exception of 2 surges, and so it kept him alive for the win. It was very big. But that's kind of like our thoughts on those 2 characters. Like, I know we're a little behind on that, but I'm happy we could at least talk about them. I feel like a lot of the times we've played once or twice, maybe 3 times, but I feel like we've seen them a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Side note, I've been really liking Cad Bane a lot.
Oh yeah.
But we'll get into that.
And from you, that's so crazy.
It's so weird because I hated him at first. I played him for like a month and a half and I just hated him. But I'm starting to like him. But we'll kind of get into we want to talk about like a 2021 January update on our local meta a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, what are we seeing? What are the shifts? Because points cost on a lot of units have dropped a ton. And that's bringing a lot of playability to stuff. We're seeing like double airspeeders get played. Gee. That's something else.
I wonder who suggested that before the point change.
Right? Like,
gee, that's so weird.
Well, do you know what's funny? I'm even seeing, like, if you watch the TTS games for, like, Yavin Base and Invader League and stuff, like, or even just some of the casual games people stream, you'll see airspeeders showing up now.
Yeah.
Because they just work as crazy harassment units. But, I guess, Kyle, what is the state of our local meta here? Now, we're not talking, TTS meta, global meta, what the big pros are playing. But we just want to let you guys know what we're seeing here. Like, what are the common casual people wanting to play here, like the common person?
So, yeah, I love the way you put that. What I can say about what I've seen these last few months, especially with the points changes, a very drastic increase in people willing to play heavy units. I see more people playing the Gav tank. I see more people playing the airspeeder, like you said, because simply it doesn't cost an arm and a leg it doesn't cost 2 legs. It costs only 1. So it's definitely more feasible, but it's further amplified, this problem of heavy units and armor, because there's certain heavies in the game, AATs, Saber class tank, that are very, very much outclassing every other heavy in the game. I'm sorry. AATs will blow the airspeeder out of the sky still, so you got to position that airspeeder right. Saber classes, gonna one-shot an ATRT, no problem. That's just, when I have impact, 5 total? Like, it's not an issue, because as long as I get 6 hits, that's 6 crits, guess what? You roll white defense die. See you later.
Like, it only takes 2 turns of recover, shoot to get that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I understand that there's a point difference between ATRTs and Saber class tanks for a reason. But let's compare the Gav tank. Yeah, sure, it's like, 130 now compared to a 170? Those 130, like, I've seen the Gav been played a couple times now, even after the point change. I'm still not seeing anything that persuades me that it's good. Like, I don't know what it is that they will have to do to make that Gav tank work.
Yeah, I hate to say it's going to be one of those units that I feel like, in my mind, will always be relegated to ATSD Gav tank.
Yeah.
But at that point, you're doing it just because you have 2 armor units that can get shot at. There's not enough utility from it. Now, the changes to transport is super interesting. I actually really like it. But, like, one of the guys in our meta, he saw some interesting play from the Gav, because he tried it again with Death Troopers. But he found that because the Gav doesn't surge defense, crits were killing his Death Troopers, because Death Troopers on their own surge defense.
Yep.
But when a Gav tank fails on a 50% chance save, yikes. Like, that feels bad when normally you would have, like, a 4 out of 6 chance save with a Death Trooper, which means you're probably dropping 1 guy. But he got to the point where it was like, I think he dropped 2 minis off of his Death Trooper units, and he's like, that's it, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out of the Gav tank. So he hopped out and played the rest. And it was fine for him after that, but I agree. I don't know what it'll take.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't hit hard enough. It can move fast, but it's more of a blocker unit. I guess maybe if you really want to get bombing run done, that's what you do. But I agree. I feel like,
but it's not versatile enough to where if your opponent wins a bid, you can't deal with it, right? Like, you thoroughly get screwed over if it's like key positions actually might not be bad, but there are certain objectives in Minefield, for example, would destroy you, right? Like, because you're so big, you're probably going to run over 2 mines.
You can hit literally all of them.
But the reason I bring that up, though, is because, to answer your question, there are certain heavies that outdo others. So we're seeing a very interesting shift in our local meta where people only want to play, if they're playing heavies, they only want to play, like, if they're going into tryhard mode, right? Like, where they want to make the best list they can. Not saying they're a tryhard, but everyone has the mode where it's like, you know what, this week I'm actually going to play something that like I think.
I want to have the best chance at winning.
Right, exactly. Because everybody plays for fun around here, no doubt. But there are weeks where we're all like, I'm gonna try and go all in on this one.
Like everybody needs to pub stomp
Yeah,
every now and then.
yeah. So, but I've seen that's happening more frequently, and two, with those heavy units. I've seen a lot of people switch over to Separatists because they're hearing that the AATs are so good. A lot of people are switching over to the Republic because the Saber class tank is really good with Rex, like in all of his like cheap commander point value.
Yeah.
So, and then Ayla Secura and the tactical droid being field commanders.
Oh, yep.
Those kind of things change something, and that's something that the Republic or the Rebels and the Empire don't have right now.
Yep. I actually, I'm happy you brought that up because I'm seeing like, I brought this up to you a little while ago that this time last year, I think I was the only one, not only here, but there was maybe one other person in the other meta up north and one other person like down south that played droids, and a couple people would like dabble in them, but nobody was like hardcore. It was like maybe one or two people, maybe three tops. But since the points changes and everything happened, I think we saw it with Maul and Anakin a little bit, where people were like, hot dang, I want to play Maul.
Yeah.
Maul seems awesome. He's a cool character. People are, always been a fan. They want to play him. And then they saw how good the tanks were, want to do that. And then, yeah, you're right. With the field commander, those two armies are in very good places because their biggest downfall for the longest time was just, dang, like, I don't want to pay for a commander.
Right.
Like, you could run double AATs, but you would have double AATs Grievous. And at that point, you're just doing, like, naked B1s with HQ uplinks. Is it bad? Definitely not. Can be used to a really powerful extent. But, like, outside of maybe one or two lists, I don't think I've actually taken Dooku or Grievous in my lists lately, because
Which
I
is
just
weird
don't
because
need
you're
to afford
a
it.
Dooku boy.
I love Dooku. Love my old man there. He's great, not in a weird way, but he's great.
Why did you have to say it like that? God dang it.
Oh gosh. Like,
Anyway.
he's a good guy, okay? He's gonna leave me money.
He's just, he'll come back now. Come
Herbert,
stop
Herbert,
using those
Herbert.
AATs and come give old.
Don't eat those popsicles till I get down there, kids. Oh
Come give
my
Daddy
gosh.
Dooku a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, I'm finding tank plus operative is the way to go. Also,
Especially with that faction. But
do you know what I'm also loving is I tried Droidicas again, and I'm seeing them get a lot of play because 100 points was just way too much, and then 105 with LTAs, yikes. But the droids right now, they're in such a good place. Like, I was joking with some people in the area recently, like especially over the past 2 weeks, that one of these weeks I feel like everybody's gonna show up, and everybody except like you, Kyle, are gonna have droids. You know what I mean? Marshall,
I will die on the.
like, I'll have droids. Isaiah will have droids. Marshall will have droids. Even Josh runs droids.
And that's what's so
Logan
funny.
runs
It's like
droids. It's crazy.
I was convinced like 2 months ago that I was going to start running droids, but then I actually bought Maul, and I still am playing Republic.
Right?
I just don't think it's in the cards for me anymore. I think what I said a few months ago is still true. I think I have no desire to play with any other factions just because I love the Republic.
Well, and you know what's so funny is I really was hoping to see some changes to Rebels and Empire, because I think they got some interesting point changes. But when it comes to the Empire, I was so pumped to try Stormtroopers out with different stuff, and kudos to a couple of guys in the community who are every now and then. But it's still really hard for me to justify not just taking Shore Troopers with the mortar. Even with the points changes, they're still cheaper.
Yep.
And with the Empire right now, it's just it's hard for me to not just run Iden with a lot of Spec Ops. It's just too good.
Yeah.
Rebels, I think, are the ones that, like, I've outside of the top tier stuff, I feel like our meta has not developed a Rebels list yet. No, Marshall did win the last tournament with Rebels, and that was a crazy awesome list.
But we're also
Awesome
talking about
play.
one of the most experienced players in our area.
That's true.
So it's kind of weird to compare.
Yeah, but I just feel like the Rebels have such a good option, like, to make interesting lists right now.
Yeah.
But they're getting so sidetracked by people being like, droids are in a really cool place and have a lot of cool stuff. So it's a weird thing. Like, casually, I think droids Droids and clones very much dominant, but I would like to see Rebels and Empire make a tiny resurgence. I would like to show up one week and be like, oh, 25% of each army is played.
All right, guys, we are going to interrupt this episode of the podcast, interject this quick news update. As you know, the Republic Specialists and the Separatist Specialists have been announced and released. We're going to interject this little snippet of me and Matt, our reactions to the new news. So you're going to notice a change in quality because we're at our homes doing this right now. But we wanted to make sure we got this to you before the news is old news and we get something else announced. So let's start off with the Republic Specialists. I have that pulled up. Just to kind of recap what their card is. They have 4 health, 2 courage, speed 2, red dice. Your standard, generic version of the faction's flavor. We got a range of 1 to 3 for attack, and that's 3 attack die, 3 black attack die. So yeah, kind of predictable stuff, but really what I'm super interested in is this new keyword. Matt, do you have this pulled up, by the way?
I do, yeah.
Why don't you read that for us?
Well, so we got a couple new keywords here. The first one is Bolster 2, which I think is super important for the clones here, and especially for the droids, like very faction-specific things. And reason we say this is because Bolster 2 reads, choose up to 2 friendly... Well, it's an action, so it's got the arrow. Choose up to 2 friendly units at range 1. Each unit gains a surge token. I say this is super important because with the change to aggressive tactics, surge tokens are now at a premium. And I know with the points changes, especially to droids, they did that to kind of account for the cost of aggressive tactics. But now if you're taking you're taking a cheap commander, you should be able to fit aggressive tactics in if you want. Bolster just helps even more. I mean, it's such a good thing, right? I mean, you're the super clone player. How do you see this? Like, does this help you at all?
Well, I love this mostly for the fact that I feel like there's been a shift in the focus on clones because, their dynamic of token sharing has, always been their forte. It's what they are, right? When the standby sharing got taken away, it kind of felt like, okay, but we don't really have anything that like makes us unique as far as like a strong uniqueness. And so now with the shift of standby sharing to surge sharing, it makes that token sharing that much more meaningful because, like, let's be honest, it's kind of weird to just aim and dodge with the phase 1 and then let your phase 2s or whatever your arcs do something with that instead. So it's kind of cool to see that, like, okay, now we're all going to be a little bit more effective, and we'll get into that a little bit more as well when we go into the upgrade card version of this for this commander. But yeah, like the next keyword being direct, core clone trooper units. During the command phase, you may issue an order to a friendly core clone trooper at range 1 to 2. Can I just say how much I love being able to give orders for free?
It's kind of good.
Yeah. I think this is going to be something that we see people kind of cheese, honestly. I can see people doing like a core, like a double commander, you know what I'm saying? Like a double commander list, generic commander, and then like your requirements, and then going heavy on tank or something, right? Maybe you have an operative in there once we get a little bit more of a stronger operative that can, carry their weight alone. Not to say Padme and R2 aren't fantastic, but they're definitely support roles. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah. Well, my first thoughts immediately jump to Rex because we know, like, even though there was some changes to how different things work, take that Clankers on turn 1 is still supremely just overpowering. It's still very, very strong. Best Alpha Strike in the game. Well, I guess maybe Tac Strike if you can get it to work right.
Yeah.
But what I see this, like, if you run this guy plus Rex, then for your take that Clankers turn, like, because you're probably running some phase 1s now instead of all just phase 2s. At least I figure most people are, unless you're on TTS. I mean, that takes that card from being a 2-person card. So let's say you throw, I think it's Fives who has the coordinate. You throw him into a regular unit, and now you issue your orders. With this guy, since you're giving an order, I mean, that turns that from a 2-person card to a 4-person card for core units. And since it goes up to range 4 on
take that clankers, you don't necessarily need to be scouting as much.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, your entire group of clones are basically death troopers because with bolster and aggressive tactics, they surge both ways. And then they're all throwing all these dice with critical at range 4. I mean, it's just so wild. I mean, because I know you're not getting that exact same alpha strike because you're probably taking more strike teams now. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this essentially makes you be able to do that same thing, but with like your phase 1s and phase 2s, which I think is just amazing.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Just to kind of keep the pace going, we're going to move on. I think overall, both our receptions of this unit is pretty dang good. I like what it has to offer. Then it has a command upgrade slot, training upgrade slot, and a gear upgrade slot. You know, kind of, it's okay. We'll get back to why the command upgrade slot is important because we got a new command upgrade that I think is actually fantastic. But the individual unit itself is Inspire 1, something you'd expect from a commander being plugged in, right? Then Reliable 1. Okay, so now your phase 1s are phase 2s, and now your phase 2s are phase 3s.
So now your phase 2s literally never care about suppression.
Right? And that I can't get over the moon. I am over the moon about how great that is. But go ahead.
The 20 points for him also is not terrible. I'll be honest. Like that's not bad.
I feel like I want to. At first impression, I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of pricey." But then, like putting him in list, I'm like, it's not terrible if I'm running like 1.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I want to play with it before I like say it's overcosted. But if it is overcosted, in my opinion, it's only by like 2 or 3 points, honestly. It's not it's pretty on the money.
And speaking of like points cost, the next other mini that we kind of get in that little upgrade is the Clone Medic.
Yeah.
Who is add 1 Clone Medic mini, treat 1, capacity 1, and this is super nice. I mean, it's costed at 20 points right now. I think that's a very good place to be at. I mean, you think about that. If you got phase 2s whose points just went up. Let's say you throw this guy in a phase 1 unit, one of your battery units whose job is just to pump out tokens.
Yeah.
Now you're pumping out tokens and healing phase 2s. I mean, or even healing ARC troopers. It just.
Oh yeah. Or
it's kind of
like
cool.
Take it a step further. You're healing and special. You're healing Echo or 5s, so they get 1 wound down. Well, guess what? Even the next round, they're gonna get healed back up to full health, and I think that's fantastic. Keep them in the fight that much longer. I actually want to play around with with those 2 in strike teams to make their health like instead of 2 cheesing it into 4 to 2 cheesing it into 5 wounds. I think that's gonna be something I want to try.
With the strike, that actually is a really cool idea.
Yeah.
So you're kind of guaranteed to win that sniper war because you shot 1, he comes back, and then you're just up ahead on minis. That's really cool.
Yeah. The capacity 1 thing, okay, I get it. Only 1 wound total. It's kind of lame, but the fact that he's a combatant it makes up for it,
That's kind of exactly where my thoughts is like. At least he's adding dice. He's not a non-com. Plus, let's be real. If you're healing 2, that's kind of wild. I mean, because essentially with the clones being almost death troopers with the way they share their surges so much. I mean, it's not exactly.
Yeah.
But they're essentially like Imperial Spec Ops for clone, like just core troopers.
Yeah.
I think it's very well costed, very well made. I don't think we'll see tons on the table, but I think 1 or 2 per army is a very good possibility.
Well, yeah, this is a mini I didn't think we were gonna get. I've been saying it for a while. I didn't think we were gonna get a clone medic just because I felt like that would be something that just keep to the original factions to kind of further separate them. Because let's be honest, power creep has happened a little bit, and the newer factions are kind of showing to be the better of the factions in our local meta at least. And so, like, I thought definitely we wouldn't get something like this to even it out, but here we are.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I will say, do you know what the annoying part is? So for my phase 2s, I actually painted one of them in my squads as Kix, the guy represented in the picture.
Yeah.
Can't use that many anymore.
Yeah. But you did
idea.
Such a good job. You should just swap it. You should just not even buy the minis. Just kidding.
No, I know. I'm probably still going to buy like 2 just to see how it goes.
The next upgrade unit or mini would be the Clone Engineer. Repair 1, capacity 1, pretty standard. But he's 18 points. And I think we're going to see a lot of the play on this guy, actually. I think ATRTs suffer from having white dye in a faction of red. So having a mini to like help combat that, or just make your Saber class tank that much better. I love this card. I'm in love with it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it's nice to also have the other options outside of R2D2, because I mean R2 is going to be infinitely better, but clones are kind of strapped for points. So if you're not able to take him, but you want the ability, I think it's great.
Yeah,
I do agree with you though. Any heavy vehicle list with like Barks or ATRTs and tanks, just anything that's got lots of those, for sure, probably take one or two of these guys.
Agreed. Okay, moving on. The clone comms technician adds the comm slot. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't see this guy getting played a whole lot, just like the other factions.
Nobody ever plays the Empire one. I think it's going to be the exact same here.
Yeah, unless there's a comms upgrade that comes in that like helps them like share. Like, okay, if they could share tokens that are range 2 with a comms upgrade somehow in the future, or I don't know if they have. I don't want it to be like exemplar levels of powerful, but something that like if this condition is met, then they can share the token at range 2. Like if they have an aim token, I don't know, just something to make this a little bit different. I'd be more on board with it. Like, but the comms upgrade isn't offering me anything on a core unit for the clones right now. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, you already have like your captains and stuff that give you other upgrades that are more, I guess, just more relevant for them.
The only thing I see is being able to put HQ uplinks on literally all of your units now, like all of them.
That is true, but at that point, you're spending like 22 points of HQ. Like,
yeah,
it kind of feels bad.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm down to try anything, but we missed one card, and I want to go back to it. It's the upgrade card that I think is really important for these boys. Actually,
I'm actually really excited for this.
Yeah, it's Vigilance. It's during the end phase, choose either one friendly trooper at range 1 to 2, or up to 2 friendly core trooper units at range 1 to 2. Each chosen unit does not remove 1 dodge token. It's 5 points. Hello. Like, I think that's undercosted.
Dude, I know. But the best part is that it talks about friendly troopers. I mean, dude, think about like Luke. Or any Jedi who takes the dodge.
That's. I'm so glad you brought up the Jedi, because my mind immediately went to the Obi-Wan Anakin combo. Put this on Obi-Wan.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, put this on Obi-Wan. Put defensive stance on Anakin, or just golden, or even put it says friendly trooper. It doesn't say other friendly trooper, so you could vigilance yourself on Obi-Wan. So on Hello There, say you have a couple extra dodge tokens that you're not using. Well, you get to save one now. You know.
And you know what the coolest part is too? It's not. There's no limits to this. So let's say you give your Jedi a dodge token. Until they spend that token, it stays there.
Yep.
So like, think about like Op Vader, right? He's got his card. What is it? Fear and Dead Men, where whenever somebody activates within range 2 of him and in line of sight, he gains a dodge token. Bro, like,
yeah,
you can get some wild stuff going, because let's say you just never spend it. Every end step, just choose to keep it. Never goes away. And if you do need it, like, you got reflexes, you got cards. I do want to see how this also works for Rebels, I'll be honest.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
Nimble always felt so, I hate to say irrelevant, but you're just never taking dodge actions.
Yeah, it takes like...
Why don't you take a dodge action turn 1?
Yep.
And then just always have your dodges till you need them. Like, it's not a ton, but maybe it's enough to help. Or... You know, let's say you've got
agree.
Mando or somebody with outmaneuver, just great stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I think that'll be really great on them. And not to mention, like, both for clones and rebels, this will be a great, like, just fantastic way to set up the game. Like, deploy a little bit further away to where you know you're not like in danger, right? And then your first round, you're with your phase 1s or your backups, your supports, you're able to like move and aim, and then you still have your dodge from the round before. So that way your ARC troopers, your phase 2s are getting fed the right stuff. And I think that's fantastic.
Right. And then you combine that with bolster and the fact that most of those units have reliable if you're taking phase 2s. I mean, it's just going to be so hard to kill you guys. Like, I'm really happy to see, especially like you and other clone trooper units, like players get these things. Now, I mean, it hurts me, but it feels good because I think you're right. Like you already said it, losing standbys completely and getting points hit and getting units changed a little bit, like that was big. I
Yeah.
think this makes up for it a lot. Like,
Agreed.
I think it puts you guys right back up on the top again.
Yeah, it's more of a shift of focus, and I wish they would have said something to be a little bit more open about the whole situation when they removed the standby sharing. Because if they had said, "Hey, but we're focusing on like adding great things to clones in another way that utilizes their identity," you know, if they had said that, I would have been like, you know what, that's fine. I don't feel like I got kicked while I was down with the point increase and with getting the token sharing taken away. Yeah, like if I could go back 3 weeks, I would just be like, "Yo, dude, be patient. You're gonna like what's coming next." So.
You're gonna like the way you look.
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
Rex's warehouse. So I want to move on to the command cards now. We're looking at the synchronized offensive, which we have had shown before. It's one vehicle, and this is for the clones still. After a friendly vehicle friendly vehicle unit is issued an order, choose a friendly clone trooper unit at range 1 to 2 and issue that unit an order. I don't know about you, Matt, but I still think this card is never going to get played.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it if you do like your like field commander wise, but the hard part for me is one other core trooper unit. Like maybe
not core trooper, clone trooper.
Oh, sorry, clone trooper.
Yeah,
yeah like it's you can give it to your arcs, you can do what you need, but I agree. Like, if you're doing field commander, you take it because you need to, but.
I think the only time I really see this being utilized heavily is board control. Like if I'm going heavy on core units and at Saber class tank and a generic commander or Rex even, I issue orders to my vehicle and that in turn issues order to Rex. Now I only have core units in my bag. So just right. Control. And I that's the only thing I can think that really benefits from this. And that's okay. I'd love to see it, but
and I guess maybe you can also have your just tank go first, like for
right.
sure. But yeah, it's hard because like the 1 pip push or whatever. No, that pushes the 2 pip. I forget the 1 pip's name is, but it's just a little bit more flexible because it's a unit instead of vehicles. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, speaking of vehicles though, we should talk about that 2 pip.
Right. I mean, the 2 pip is the one I'm pumped about. It's called
tell me
Air
about
Support here, and it's issue an order to a commander or heavy unit, which is super applicable. And it says, once this round at the end of the activation of a friendly commander clone trooper unit, or friendly field commander unit, it may perform an attack using the following weapon. It's range 4 to infinite, 1 red, 2 black, beam 2, immune deflect. This is
Seems
cool.
Good.
I'm super excited for this card.
Yep. And okay, so I think there's a clear winner in this card of who should get this card or who should be built with this card in mind every time, and that's Rex. I think Rex is a must-have for this card because not only do you get sharpshooter from his ability, from him being a sharpshooter with this ability, because he's performing an attack, remember that, but also you get surge to crit. So these 3 dice, beam 2 at range 4 to infinite, round 1. Come on, dude, like that. Just say goodbye to any droids you have on the field, any rebels. You might get a few shore troopers. You might get lucky and knock a mortar off of the field. You never know.
Well, you know what's so cool about this too is like, I mean, like Leia's card is so good because you can just get sniper strike teams off the table really quick, right? If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Veers is good because if he's got vehicles he's going up against, he can injure the vehicles really hard or just try and bomb somebody quickly. Dude, this throws suppression on like almost the entire army.
Yep.
It makes the entire army start with a suppression. It's like Krennic's, well, at least whoever you can get.
But yeah, it's like Annihilation Looms or whatever, but like one-sided.
It's so one-sided. Granted, you still have to see them, but like, imagine failing your check, like your roll for suppression, round 1.
Oh man,
dude, you're down in action already. That feels so bad.
Dude, tell me about it. I can't wait to do this to you. Oh man. But yeah, the third command card is Attack of the Clones. We say it in this episode later, I believe. Maybe you've already heard it by the time we put this in. I don't know yet. But I had a prediction that this would be every eligible clone trooper unit. I was on the right track, just got a little bit greedy. It's 3 clone trooper units. And then the ability is when a unit is issued an order using this card, it either gains 1 surge token or removes 1 suppression token. So that's good. I like that. I don't know if I'm going to use it every time, but
Yeah.
like if I have like 3 clone troopers, I'll take that with Rex. Like if Rex or a generic commander is my only commander, I'll take that any day. I'll take that over Assault, that's for sure.
I mean, the suppression part with phase 2s being everywhere, I don't know how applicable that is. I mean, it's nice to get that Inspire. I mean, if you're running like a field commander, you're gonna get the Inspire already, and you're gonna get this, so it's kind of cool. But dude, you kept talking about the suppression stuff, and the more I look at this, it's just, or not suppression, the surges. There's just gonna be surges all over the clones now. Like they're just gonna be everywhere.
Yep. And I like that because, like, in early game, definitely I use my surge, like the way I tend to play anyway. I use my surge tokens very, how do I say this, defensively, right? Like, I only use them for defense. Late game, though, if I outnumber you at that point, I will continue to use those surge tokens offensively to make sure those get through, and that way I can just snowball. And I like that versatility. And if I'm behind still, it's great. I still have a bunch of surge tokens to use defensively, and I love it. But
I mean, either way, just going up against an army of death troopers is super scary.
All right, so let's move on here to the droid side of things, the separatist specialists. Matt, do you want to walk us through the card for the T-Series tactical droid?
Yeah, absolutely. So the tactical droid comes in at 55 points. It has a command slot, a comm slot, and a gear slot. And it has 4 health, 2 courage, white saves. It has a white for melee and a red and a white at 1 to 3 for its ranged attack. The critical keywords here are bolster 2 and direct droid trooper unit, core droid trooper unit, and it has sharpshooter 1. I really like seeing the parity here between the droids and the clones, because it's interesting when you look at the units for Rebels and Empire. You know, what does the generic Empire guy do?
Yeah.
He's got like Spotter 1 and Inspire. What does the generic Rebel guy do? Well, he's got like Take Cover 1, and that's pretty much the most powerful thing he's got.
Yeah.
Those are tokens super applicable to the core units of those armies. And here with bolstered, I guess that's just the one. Both armies need those. I will say the Clone Trooper one I think is the more impressive guy. But for 55 points as a commander, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But I think this guy is kind of in. I like how you brought up the parity of here, because I do also feel like they're inverted of each other, where I definitely don't see as much play of the clone commander being put into regular units, but I see the T-Series tactical droid being put into core units all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah, we're looking at a range 1 to 3, 1 wound, one red die, reliable 1. We've seen this card before. I'm not gonna drown you out with it. But you lose AI attack for 18 points, and you get that reliable 1, which means you start with a surge token. So pretty much your B2s are now phase 2 clone troopers with armor. Granted, you have white die, but you have 3 wounds. So I think sticking these on a army, just 6 core units of B2 battle droids, I want to see that so bad now.
Oh, I know. So I actually did pre-order 4 of these because I kind of want to try it because I have 3 B2s.
Yeah.
But a big part of me also just wants to get 3 more B2s and go all in for it.
Tell me about it.
Maybe it's new meta.
Yeah, and its sidearm is cool. Range, like I said, it's red die. So red die, it won't hurt being added to any pool. So even if you put that in B1s for some weird reason, you get a red die. So that's cool. You're guaranteed at least 1 hit.
Oh, yeah. Super pumped.
Okay, I guess not guaranteed, but...
red and I'd rather roll that red with them.
Yep.
At least make sure we're getting something. But I guess moving on to the command cards, because I think these are where they get most interesting.
Yeah.
So this, I think, is the inversion of the clones. They're 1 pip. It's called mechanized inversion. And just like the clones, it's 1 vehicle. And it says, after a friendly vehicle unit is issued an order, choose a friendly droid trooper unit at range 1 to 2 of it, and issue that unit in order. So for the clones, like that's cool. You get one extra guy, but for this card with the B1s and the B2s, whatever, you're actually getting. You can get all of your core troopers if you're running just 6 B1s.
Yeah,
like that's 7 activations for a 1-pip. That's kind of good.
Agreed. It just thrives on what droids love, and is that control. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's say like you got to give it to like a sniper strike team instead, or even like a droidica unit. Like kind of good.
Yep. But once again, I think their 2-pip is better.
It's kind of cool. Yeah. Do you want to go over that one?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. It's actually very comparable to the clone trooper, or the clone's 2-pip. It's called Orbital Strike, 1 commander or 1 heavy unit. Separatist only, of course. Once this round, at the end of this activation, or at the end of the activation of a friendly at the end of the activation of a friendly commander droid trooper unit or a friendly field commander unit, it may perform an attack using the following weapon. And it's the same range, 4 to infinite, and it's 2 red and 2 black. So more powerful than the clone one, but it's suppressive, and I think that's fantastic. And
right?
Yeah, you don't get the beam off of it, but I'll take it. Like that could wipe a unit, like just flat out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And what I find so interesting about this is like the we don't really have a ton of people who like surge crit for our commanders. In fact, I think the only person we have who natively surges is Dooku. But I was thinking about this with the tank aspect in Field Commander.
Same.
That's probably the best place to use it. And reason being is because if you take that Field Commander, well, you know what you get to do is you get to do some pretty cool things. You can barrage twice and then use this attack.
Yep.
So you really end up throwing 6 reds, 2 black dice at well, not even that. You end up throwing 10 reds, 2 black dice. Like that's just wild.
Yep.
How many dice that is at units. Like the amount of suppression you do and the amount of control, it's just so worth it. And the suppressive means if you keep shooting at the same unit, like you just want to panic them off the table, you're throwing 4 suppression on them that turn. So if they just don't die, like if they're still alive by that point, might as well make them panic.
Yep. And I think I love that you said this is definitely having the tank in mind, because I love the indifference it is to the clone trooper or the Republic. I think Rex is the one you go for theirs, but for this one it's definitely tank, because you can even play this a little bit later in the game. You don't have to play this round 1, because your tank is going to be wanting to kind of hover at range 4 anyway. So from that range, you could kind of get someone real good. Maybe like you finished off a unit round 2 or 3, right? And then, oh, well, this unit has 2 minis left. Okay, well, let's bombard them and just get them off the table, right? So I think this has a little bit more flexibility in when you play it, whereas the clones, I think you definitely play theirs round 1. But
yeah. And I'm even thinking of like a big part of the problem the droids have is any kind of mobility. Like you have Darth Maul, you have Cad Bane, so they can be all over the board. But that's like one set of minis, and then if you bring the droids with Darth Maul, that's cool. But this allows you to get those people that are running away from you, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Let's go into the 3-pip.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called Roger, like classic.
I'm so glad they did that.
Right? Yeah, and you issue 3 orders to droid troopers, and it says separatist only. So when a unit is issued an order using this card, it gains either 1 dodge or 1 surge. Pretty applicable actually. Like,
yeah.
But I think the key here, because like a dodge token is actually, if I'm not gonna lie, that feels pretty bad on droids. I don't really want to be dodging with them. I'd rather be aiming and making their attack a little better.
Same.
But I think if you combo this with like the vigilance, the new upgrade, that's actually really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just saving a droid the second you need it.
Yep. I definitely agree. I think also like this kind of gets around like maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe you're the droid player, so I'll let you answer this. But I think this for like a double the fall list, I think this helps you not take HQ uplinks on as many B1s. You know, because like okay, well I could just issue them orders with this card, or maybe you do still take those HQ uplinks, and this just gives you more freedom on when to not recover, if that makes sense. I don't know. What are your thoughts? You're the droid player.
Well, I think that's such a key thing because like you always end up having at least one or two people with HQs, and so that they don't really do much. But if let's say you just need to interact with your terrain or your objectives a little bit more, this is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's that good. Like I think giving to 3 clones is a little better. Like at least here, 3 droids, you're gonna get all your core troopers taken care of.
Yeah.
Or 3 droid troopers could be like start your chain down the B1 line and issue to like the BX droids, for example. So there's some cool stuff, which is really nice. It's just the dodge token is what gets me on this one. Like if it was giving a dodge to other people, I'd be pretty pumped. But you know, I can't complain too much.
Yeah. I guess we should move on to the upgrade the personnel upgrades that come with the specialists. We looked at the tactical droid, but let's talk about the EV series medical droid. Nothing really to write home about. We kind of figured that this is what it would be. It's a non-combatant, treat 1, capacity 2. So pretty much the same medical droid you'll see in other factions. I don't know, anything to add there, or should we just keep going?
I mean, I'm happy it's at least well. Like you look at the art there, it's got Grievous. I mean, the only reason you're really taking this is for your commanders.
Right.
I mean, that is super nice because there are a lot of times where Grievous and Dooku will they're in a position where they just have to take that dive, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Well, if you're able to get there, you can help them.
Yeah. Or so Maul, who likes to have at least one wound. Maybe you get a little overzealous and he gets too many around early in the game, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so while you're moving up, I mean, it is a free action, so.
Yeah, that's nothing. And it's 14 points, so that's great.
Yeah, like 14 points is super cheap for medical droids. Like,
yeah,
that's not bad.
Okay. Yeah, so then there's the PK series worker droid, which is, your droid repair droid equivalent, right? Yeah. Same thing. So, but this is 12 points, which I think is great. So I can see this being used sometimes. Like I see this more on like if you're running double AATs.
Yeah, I could see that. With it, where I've been thinking about with this is B2s.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because if you're able to, like the way I've been running B2s, just for everybody at home, is I've been running 3 B1s with HQ uplinks and then 3 B2s fully kitted. Reason being, you just basically use the B1s to make sure the B2s do work, and they just walk around in groups of one B1 and one B2. Well, with this, you could slap that guy into the B1 units, and essentially you're making those B2 units go from 10 health minis 10 health units to 12 health with armor. So that's kind of the idea I'm thinking about using them for. In fact, I'll probably end up doing that more than the taking away AI attack, but that's just the idea I'm thinking. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Moving on to the Viper Recon droid. I think this is the most spicy of the selection. 2 white die at range 1 to 2, so it's a combatant, 1 wound, observe 2, and so we love seeing more observation tokens available to us, don't we, Matt?
They're great.
And then it gets to use that sidearm, which I think is fantastic. But it can only use the weapon on this card, so that's fine. Stick it in B1s and you get double the dice with it. Okay. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Well, actually, B1s is not a bad idea here because 8 points is so cheap. That's super cheap. But I guess that's also lets you turn your B1s into kind of batteries for your other units, kind of like how people use phase 1s, right? Stand by or dodge and aim with them. Because you're getting observation tokens and other people can use those. Yeah.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think that pretty much wraps up this portion of our discussion. Do you have anything else to add about these new specialists?
Not really. I'm super excited. I think I'm buying a little bit more than I originally thought. But
same.
You're right. I think they're gonna be so crucial for these armies moving forward. I really do.
Agreed. All right. Well, with that, we'll get back to your regularly scheduled podcast, Changing Quality Now. Oh, it's so interesting that you bring that up because that ties directly into what we want to talk about for our main topic of this week.
Yeah.
Something that Empire just had to let leak. They're bad with their plans. Did you know that? Like, every plan they make is terrible.
Oh, for FFG. Yeah.
Well, the Empire, but yeah, that's what I was referencing. Yeah.
I feel like they don't have a plan. I feel like their plan is to leak stuff out.
they don't know how to legally do stuff anymore, so they just let it leak.
That's how we found out about Callus and Lando.
Yep.
And the thing is, it's all coming from the exact same source, and it's happened from the same source for like
So
the past
many
5 or
times,
6.
yeah.
Yeah, so many releases.
You'd think Asmodee would just be like, "Yo, cut it out," but
Like-
it's also like, it's making us money.
Yeah. Like either it's the greatest PR move of all time, or they have an intern who's like, I can screw this up for a day before I get caught, and then I'll just go back in and fix it. You know what I mean? It's hilarious. But what are we talking about, Kyle, though?
Oh, okay. So what leaked most recently? It's what we've always wanted.
It is!
The LAAT.
The LAAT. Dash LE.
So not the one we wanted is what you're saying.
Darn.
So
I said,
there's a lot of letters there, Matthew.
There
Explain
is.
to me. I'm 4 years old. I don't understand the differences between the LAAT and whatever you just said.
Yeah, I've got another like little story about that in a second. But so there's the LAAT is the low altitude assault transport. They're super famous from Attack of the Clones. That's the gunships that the clones come in on to save the Jedi. And let's be real, ever since that moment, even if you dislike Attack of the Clones, you kind of like the Battle of Geonosis. You really like the LAAT. Let's be real, we all do.
Who dislikes Attack of the Clones? I hate sand. You hate sand. We all hate sand.
I do truly, deeply love you. But let's be real. We all want that. That's the gunship. That's the LAAT /I. I guess is the designation. Now, in the Clone Wars, they introduced a different variant that looks kind of like a TIE Fighter inspired version. Like, they took that ship and messed it up with a TIE Fighter.
It looks ugly, by the way.
It's very interesting. But it's called the LAAT /LE.
LE or IE?
LE.
Okay.
Kind of like a
So
Lexus.
like Last of Us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like kind of like.
Oh wait, I can't
the
make that
Lexus
joke. That's
LE.
terrible.
Oh,
I just
no.
and it wasn't intentional.
Yikes! But it's so funny because I think we already know where this is leading to because it's basically the same ship with less firepower. I posted a meme to the Discord. I was like, "It's like, Mom, can we have LAAT?" It's like, "No, we have LAAT at home." And it shows the picture of the Empire one,
That's
not the
fantastic.
Republic one. Yeah, I thought that was funny. But yeah, I guess what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's definitely going to give us some awesome things, right? I think it's going to give us some things that we were just talking about that the Empire doesn't have, because coincidentally, another thing was leaked that we haven't covered yet on this podcast is the truck, the AA5.
The AA5, yeah.
Right, yeah. So the Rebel transport truck got leaked as well. So now we know of 2 other heavy units, both for the Galactic Civil War, that are leaked, like not 100%, but pretty much coming to the game.
Yeah, and just so people understand, like the leaks for this are the import company that Asmodee owns for Canada, so
Right.
for Canadian imports. So when they cross that border, it's the company they use to try and get the least costs down so they can move their product, and the website shows these things early. Just so you know that it's a very much a legitimate source, but I think most people know that.
Right.
It's called Lion Rampant if you ever want to look into it.
Yeah. So first of all, what I think about this is that these 2 units are going to get Field Commander in them, right? So we're going to see something that we haven't seen on those factions before. Now, do I 100% believe that's true? Not necessarily. I think it's totally possible that Field Commander or mechanic could just be something exclusive to the Clone Wars factions. I think it's totally possible that we can have that disparity. And in fact, I might not even be that upset if Rebels and Republic or Rebels and Empire don't get it, because it's like, well, they got their own things. I don't have marksman. Do you have marksman?
Right. Well, and it's funny to think how those keywords work with the armies. Like with the droids and clones, they're such core trooper like heavy factions. Their focus is on core troopers and heavy units and supports anyways. The Rebels and Empire, they kind of operate on more of an operative level,
Yeah.
where you really want to use your operatives or your core troopers. So, I maybe not for the rebels so much, but for the Empire, I guess I could see it. But yeah, I don't think they need to make. Like, I understand when they make units in parity where they mirror each other, but there's no need to make every faction have everything.
Right. And in fact, even if they did do that, there's still plenty of room to like make these factions further differentiated within these units. For example, earlier today, Matthew, I were talking about what this means for the game entirely. So if the LAT comes to the Empire, I think that just almost but confirms that we're getting similar vehicles in the Clone Wars, right?
Oh,
So-
absolutely, and yeah.
So like the equivalents of for the Separatists would be the HMP gunship, right? Or the actual cool LAT in
The real
Clone Wars.
yeah.
The one that could have beam 5 or something. That'd be cool. That'd be way cool. But what would you think is like the main use of all of these vehicles? They all have some really cool things in common.
I mean, they're all transport.
Yeah.
And for at least for those three factions, they're flying vehicles that are super big. Like, we're talking bigger than an AAT almost. So I think they hint a lot at the future design spaces for the game. I mean, carrying transports, flying vehicles is awesome. I mean,
We already got one unit that does it.
right? And if they choose to go scaling option, which we don't know if they will until they probably do the LAT, which will need to get scaled down. If they do that, I think that hints at like AATs in the future. Stuff that they never could do, but maybe they'll find a way to
Or
work it.
ATATs?
Or
Yeah,
ATATs, not AATs. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, we already got those.
ATATs, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I think this could be a really interesting but dangerous domino effect of getting our hopes up, where it's like, well, if a LAT is coming, that means the other LAT's coming, and if the LAT's coming, that means they have to scale it down, and if they scale it down, that mees that they can also scale down the AT-AT, and if they scale down the AT-AT,
We can get a Death Star.
Yeah, exactly. You see what I'm saying?
I get Grand Moff Tarkin. I play his one pip. I Death Star the table. Good game. Yeah.
Yo, actually, I low-key want to see that now. I'm not even gonna...
Single ignition. Well, it'd be a super interesting thing.
Oh,
where,
yeah, like a command card, single ignition. There you
yeah,
go.
like a single ignition, and maybe it would be like a game ender. Like, it would be super broken to do it this way, but it would be like you play this card at the end of the round, the board is cleared, the game is ended.
Can only be played on round 6.
I would say it can only be played on like round 4 or 5. So maybe it's like because there's a lot of command cards that say when the game, like, I think is it key positions and another one that says at the end of the game. So if you play that card, you end the game, you would count victory points right then and there. So it's an interesting design space.
Oh man, I could see that being so frustrating.
But it
like,
makes it
hey, we're tied right now, but you're winning in points, but I'm winning in points. Here's the
Here's
distraction.
the command card.
That'd
Or
be so broken.
it would be so broken, especially if you infiltrate all your ISFs onto objectives.
Gosh.
Then you just play that card and you're like, okay, you have one more turn to stop me. I mean, it's super broken. I don't think they'd ever do anything like that, but I would like to see that kind of play space utilized.
Yeah.
Maybe for like because we know AMG's getting the light is going to take care of the game.
Yeah.
If they want to do like a cooperative play night kind of thing, like maybe a 2v2
Yeah.
format,
That'd be way cool.
it'd be a very
I'd
cool
love it.
scenario addition. It'd be like it's a very limited thing, not just 6 turns, but like if you're able to do the objective early, there's stuff. But
Well, I'm actually really
Yeah.
glad we found our way to this portion of it too, because I like the idea of certain like I said, I like the idea of certain factions having a leg up, or at least some uniqueness with these vehicles, even though they're very similar.
yeah,
Like, for example, the Rebel transport could carry like a ton of their core units. In fact, actually, what I really want to talk about, which actually held from talking about with you earlier, is what I think the HMP could do. If the HMP comes to Legion for the droids, I think we're gonna see some entourage action. I think if the HMP comes to this game, we're gonna see a extremely rapid reinforcement mechanic. So like, you can, like, if you have this unit, you could start with 4 extra B1 droids, or like X amount, right? You could start with 2 extra units of B1 battle droids on the sideline.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like it would be kind of like you deploy off of the HMP.
Yep.
But you
Because
deploy
they
later.
always come in the battle and drop off more troops, like always, right? So I think the rebels and the droids specifically could have something very much like that. I think droids need it more for their faction identity, Because we've been harping on this chord for the better part of a year now, that droids need the ability to take more than 6 core units to make their faction feel really like that much more their own, right?
Well, it's funny because like we say that and it's so true. In fact, I think even if you give them 1 more core unit or 2 more tops, I think that's great because the amount of health that you have to chew through is a ton, but a lot of the times it's not very effective health.
Yeah,
it's just you're throwing whites and praying. But I think that's a very cool thing, you know, because we've talked about like the deploying thing, because you got the HMP and the droids could also do like the MMT or whatever, or the MTT, whatever, the massive one from episode 1,
right?
And that would be like a ground-based way to do that. What I think is so cool about this for the Empire with getting the LAT LE is that idea of getting some like deep strike units that are cheaper. So maybe, you know, instead of taking ISF with infiltrate, you're able to, like, maybe this is a reason for stormtroopers because they're a little cheaper, so you could load up stormtroopers into it and then drop off your troopers everywhere. And
so you think they could like limit it even past just core units? They could be like for Empire, it'd be like stormtrooper units.
Well, more like it would be cost prohibitive.
Oh, okay.
So like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like units
can't-
under
yeah.
50 points.
Exactly.
So you're not going to be able to, like, especially for like the HMP, if they did that, they couldn't be like B2 battle droids with a HA gun. You know?
Well, more like you can't take 6 core trooper units plus that vehicle because the vehicle's heavy. Like the vehicle's expensive.
Okay.
So and like stormtroopers are technically like, well, it's a weird thing because they're still technically cheaper if you take 6.
So then what about this idea where like I kind of want to circle back to the droids, but with that same concept. So let's say you get 2 other units with it, right?
Yeah.
Now if I run 2 drop ships, do I get 4? So instead of 6 core units, could I now take 10?
Well, this is why I'm. super hesitant.
This is more like a design question. Like, how would you do it?
Yeah, well, this is a big part of the design because I think the big deal is what they would probably do is have it do the rapid reinforcements way, where you don't break the rule. You probably just start with them on the ship.
Okay.
I think it would have to be done in a command card way, where
like a divulge.
Yeah, so that way you can't spam those because 4 extra units of B1s, the cost is just so crazy. Like at that point, you are just such a true horde. There's no reason to not just walk onto the objectives and sit there.
Yeah. I guess we haven't had the generic command cards completely spoiled yet, so maybe that could tie into this.
Technically, we should. I mean, we should have them either this week or next to start doing those articles because we're about a month out or so.
Yeah.
Which means we still need 2 articles to come out, and they don't generally do them back to back. It's like a week
It's usually
apart.
about a week. Yeah.
So hopefully that happens. I guess.
Or they could just do what they did with Anakin and Obi-Wan, have it, or Anakin and Maul,
like back to back,
and just leak it completely before anyone gets it officially.
I wouldn't be opposed.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, it's not.
Just give us a PDF file of all their stats, but make sure it's in German so it's hard to read.
What I really want is just a very, very bad JPEG that's super low res.
It's like super fuzzy.
Yeah,
it's just completely fakeable too.
Yeah.
People think it's not real.
Well, it's just very interesting. I guess, does this make, so if you're able to start with troopers in there already, instead of the open, you know, because it'll probably be close transport, hover, air, stuff like that. Does that mean like rapid reinforcements becomes a lot better? You know what I mean?
I guess it depends on how they use it, because it could actually, in my eyes, make it a lot worse. It's like, why would I take rapid reinforcements if I'm going to do it anyways? Why would I also give that ability to my opponent?
I guess that's true.
So it depends on how it's delivered, I guess. But knee-jerk reaction, I think it would make rapid reinforcements even less desirable, because I don't know of anyone that's actually pushing for rapid reinforcements right now.
That's true. I guess, what if you could put like your commander in there as well in the transports?
Well,
so you could, like, because I think a big thing we're seeing is like,
I'd love to see Dooku ride the HMP like a surfboard.
Right? Well, we see the BX droids ride one.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I just think, like, with Vader, he's great, but if you can get him into the battle super quick, then you can do things. Like, it's really hard for him to be in the battle earlier than turn 3.
Yeah, and it could be like a way to infiltrate without infiltrating too. So like maybe they can start like where they want in heavy cover, you know, whatever. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know.
I guess you're having a lot of thoughts, and I'm enjoying the trade.
Yeah. It's just like one of these things where I'm glad that these things leak, because it just adds to fun. it makes for some fun for some fun speculation. If I could talk today.
Well, it's like Diffs on the Discord. He made that LA.
Oh yeah, and then like the next day.
Yeah, literally like the next day this comes out, which is so great because I feel like most people didn't think we would ever get it.
Yeah, but here we are, potentially getting it.
Here we are. I mean, if 40K can do flying vehicles, why not? I guess my big thing is how does the Rebel transport work into this? Because I'm afraid it's gonna. A part of me wants to say it'll be very solid for them. Another part of me worries that it's gonna be like a Gav tank.
Yeah, I would like to see the Rebel transport, if anything, just be more of a moving fortress rather than an attacker. Like, yeah, have armor, surge defense, reliable too. Like, or actually, if you have surge defense, you don't need a reliable if you're going to be a defensive. But then, like, put a crappy weapon on it, make it pretty cheap, like 100 points.
Like an honest always include kind of thing.
Yeah, just like something that like you can use. That, I mean, I don't know. And then maybe like there's like a field commander in there, right? Like, I got this idea from Warhammer. Well, more from X-Wing, but whatever. But like you have a mini in there or a field commander in there. And then you can leave that unit, and now that mini is its own unit, if that makes sense. So like, let's say Cal is his own unit right now. So I'm just using it as an example.
Oh, so like you could get a Luke, you get like a Luke commander or a Leia commander in that vehicle,
right?
But when that vehicle dies, she would spawn, sort of thing.
Or yeah, something like that. Yeah. So or they can leave it, and then the truck, like, quote unquote, drives off to the field and then is just removed from play, right? Or the HMP flies off, like, because the HMPs, like, they come in, disrupt the battle, drop the droids, shoot a bunch of things up, and leave. Like, that's all these units. That's all they would do, right?
I'm very excited to get multi-missile pods on that droid.
Yeah,
like I really am. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's just some interesting stuff that's going on there. I mean. I do struggle to. I feel bad if it's not a good unique unit in a way, because I am afraid that the Clone Wars versions are going to be just so much better. You know what I mean? Like yeah. I hate to say that, but when I look at the Clone Wars versions, they're just such battle hardened units. Like the HMP has like 3 guns on its nose and missile launchers, and guess what else has a lot of guns and missiles? The LAAT for the clones. Yeah. These ones aren't that. These are definitely not that. But the Army's powers are definitely not always in their vehicles. Always, like Rebels, they have some vehicles for reasons. Like ATRTs and triplicate can be great. I'm really hoping this does help, because I feel like transport is something that has potential to be amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
It really does.
Especially with the differences we've had, it just opens up more room for more uniqueness with the transport keyword.
Do you know what would be cool is if the transport, especially the Rebel one, started with Scout.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
I don't think we've had a vehicle, because we saw ATRTs with Scout.
Yeah.
So why not give like the Rebel truck a Scout? Because that'd be a great way to be like, hey, and rather than infiltrate, why don't I start with units inside the truck, and then when I deploy, like we've seen what a speed 2 for the Saber tank does. Like that's huge. A speed 2 for the Saber tank, you essentially moved range 3 almost.
Yep.
It's crazy. Well, you moved like range 2, but it's wild. Imagine doing that with Rebels, and so you don't need to infiltrate because you can just launch your army into range, and then all of a sudden range bonus is gone. Like I think that would be very interesting. I think that would make transport immediately worthwhile, because turn 1 you would just deploy everybody out of your transport, get them moved to safety.
Yep.
Or even deploy behind the transport so you get cover too. I think that and Field Commander just do so much for you. Because imagine putting like your operatives in there, like Sabine and Luke, and then you've got a Sabine and Luke in your face turn 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see myself doing that at all with like core units.
Yeah.
But I can see what you're saying with like the heavy hitters. Like get them into a position like very fast. Just make operative Luke that much more of a menace. So I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you never know. Like, funny thing is, I always wonder after these episodes like this, because we've got a lot to talk about. There are people out there that have play tested and already know what these units will be. Like now, having talked to a couple people who have play tested X-Wing and Armada, like they don't leak anything to me, but from what they say, that they don't exactly know what the vehicle's going to be. They have ideas of how the units will play. because they've played around with the rules, but they don't know exactly.
Right, because like ultimately,
Like
as
it could,
an NFFG choose atomic mass now, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could change last second, and maybe a rule or keyword you played with just never makes it onto the card.
Right.
But I wonder if what people think who already know. Like
to hear this, like, nope, they're completely wrong.
Yeah,
That's not even on the table. It's just a command card, you idiot.
Oh, I'm kind of worried it is going to be too, but
yeah,
you never know.
Generic. Oh man, like Attack of the Clones is just like quite literally Lats just blasting something, which would be cool, I guess.
I honestly think Attack of the Clones is kind of going to be your clone troopers coordinator something this turn.
Oh, I think it's going to be every eligible clone trooper. Why not? The Empire has an entire legion.
That's true,
so,
but that is tied to freaking Palpatine.
So I guess that's true.
Yeah, and that's a very powerful
I don't know.
one.
I think
because imagine that with Rex. Well, no, because I guess you can't play those two cards back to back.
So it self-balances.
This does self-balance, but that does. Do you know how it really empowers is Anakin in a very weird way.
Because you give all your clone troopers orders, so you know Anakin can't. Yeah, sure, I can't be issuing an order, but guess what? He's in the bag. He's the only one in the bag. MF.
That's why droids are so good. Is because they're reversed.
Yeah.
They're the only faction where you're like, nah, I'd rather not give my commanders the orders this time.
Yeah, that's actually true. Like, I should probably think about playing it like that more, like with just core units that like can relay stuff, especially when the specialists come out. Hopefully that they can do something where they coordinate.
Well, it's why short troopers plus coordinated fire was so good.
Yeah,
that was like the first time we saw that you weren't giving your order to your commander or your operative, and it was good. And then the droids, you're just like, I'm never giving the droids orders. I'm always giving vehicles and commanders.
That'd be cool.
It'd be cool.
Well, guys, I think that's about it for us this week. Matthew, do you have any concluding thoughts for us?
Not really. It's super nice to be back. I mean, we've already told you we've got things coming out. We're trying to figure out how to do bat reps. That's something I kind of really want to do. Because I think it'd be a way to let the community also get their games. And we have people requesting, like on the Discord and stuff, pictures. And inevitably, I always forget pictures.
Oh, Diff's going to be so mad because he just reminded me that he wanted pictures last night.
I feel so bad. I was going to say something today, but I completely
Diffs,
forgot.
if you're listening, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I know, because he even sent us pictures of his play club, which
next
is
week, I
awesome.
promise. I promise to try harder. How about that?
Right? We're also going to try and do things like unit reviews, like box openings and things. Try to get first impressions out where you can actually see the pictures, see the minis, see how we're thinking of it, or maybe even like list building ideas. Maybe we'll do list building for you and send in lists that we're thinking of. We're trying to plan some content and make it work. We'll let you guys know how it's going, and let us know if you have other ideas as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Stuff you want to see.
Yeah, we're always open to that. And those kind of things we've kind of talked about between Matt and I. Matt would definitely be taking the helm on those sort of projects and those ideas. If you are on the Discord, you know this too, but I have my own channel on YouTube that I run. 801st is very much a passion project. It's a labor of love that I do. Not that my other channel's not, but it's definitely something that I can only have so much time to do.
We're just trying to say we're busy.
Well, what I'm really trying to say is hope you like Matt. You're going to be seeing a whole lot more of Matt.
If you don't like me, I'm so sorry.
Anyways, guys, we both hope that you had a happy holiday season. We're glad to be hitting 2021, hitting the ground running. We just jumped off the lat. We're going for it. So until next time, we'll catch you later.
Peace.